Hey, and welcome to Out of Hiding, a podcast where we focus on growing in God by seeking His truth. Hosted by Dan Morrow and David Flores. Today, we got a special guest, Mr. Dylan. What was your last name again?
Morrow.
Dylan Morrow.
It's the guy.
Dylan is one of my three sons. We thought it would be fitting to have him on. We had Eve on a couple weeks ago. Just kind of been sharing what God's doing in my kids' lives. And so, y'all want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
let's
Just
do it.
jump right
I'm
in.
honored.
Love Dylan.
I'm so ready. I've been super excited this whole time. I'm just grateful for all you guys.
So, Dylan, tell me, I don't care really where you start, but tell me where you're at right now. Tell me what God's doing right now in Dylan Morrow.
Right now, He's opened up something that's been really amazing for me. I didn't go to church. I didn't do any of that for the past year. I've never been a church guy, and I worked controls for the last year. I was a controls technician, and I did that. I met a bunch of people, traveled all over the U.S., and then I come down here, and I've got this guy. His name's Earl, and he's like, hey, I want you to work with me. And little did I know, he's starting a school of ministry at Radiant. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like freaking out. I don't want anything to do with the church. And then God's like, here, I want you to administrate this school. I want you to take care of it. I want you to be that guy. And that's where I'm at right now, just following his plan and putting all my energy into that school, taking care of it.
So why do you think that door opened for you?
I think it opened up to me because in a point in my life, like, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends. And I just completely put all my energy into myself. I did everything for me. I learned so much about me. I didn't know about the Father yet, but I knew so much about me. It just created this thing to where I could come to Him. And He was going to open up something for me to learn more about Him and do His work.
Wow.
Can I say, man, going to the school, I don't know who doesn't know, Dylan always starts the school off with a prayer and getting everybody seated and whatnot. And, man, your prayers, that's something I look forward to every week, man. They're just so good, and they really touch the soul. I'm sure you can agree with me, Adam. I mean,
so good.
They're
thought out, well planned, heartfelt.
Yeah.
Man, they always are. I think about those students. I think about all the hurts and all the pains that every single person, we all go through, and it keeps me up. I think about those prayers all the time, like, what do these people need, Holy Spirit? Show me, reveal me something. And sometimes it's even for me. I'm like, what is going on in my life that can help somebody else? What can I pray for them for? And a lot of times it's just to reveal. Like, there's so many things we're blind to that you wouldn't even understand.
Yeah.
So what I hear is a broken heart for people. I hear a boy, or a man, not a boy. I say boy because you're my son. But what I hear is a man who has a broken heart for God's people, for God's work, for God's will to be done with people. And the reason I'm illustrating this now is because I want to go back. I want to go back further, and because you hadn't always been that way.
No, not at all.
So let's talk about God's transformative power. Let's hear a little bit about Dylan, the real Dylan. I remember Dylan as a child being the little prankster, the one who could con his brothers and sisters into doing all his chores while he sat around and didn't do anything else.
Best believe it.
Also the most loving. You've always been the most loving child. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about it a little bit.
Man, I remember I did have the greatest manipulation. All my siblings, I'd be like, hey, if you go do this for me, I'll get something for you. I'd never have anything for them. I just wanted to play video games. But somehow they would be doing my chores, picking up all my stuff, and Dad would come in the room and he'd be like, what are you doing playing video games? And I'm like, dude, I got somebody else doing it for me. It's all right.
That's how I was growing up.
Yeah.
I could get my sisters and everybody around to do the stuff. Delegation.
Yeah.
You guys haven't changed.
Not at all, man. Not at all. But growing up, like, I just remember feeling so lost all the time. I remember not knowing who I was, not knowing where I wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to play basketball because that's what my dad wanted. I knew that I loved people.
So let's talk about that. Tell us why you thought that that's what I wanted for you. Like, tell us how the love of basketball transpired, because it's an interesting story, and I think it's something that lots of people deal with. So let's unpack that.
Let me just say this. Basketball saved me. It was amazing, and I loved every second of it. But as I start to grow older and I start to see things...
It'll pick up on the mic. Your nails popping.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. No, as I start to look into this, about my basketball journey, like, I remember being in 4th grade, and me and my twin brother, we would be on separate teams, and I wanted to beat him so bad so I could get the love from my father and my mother. I remember, and when he would beat me, I would feel so betrayed. I would feel so hurt, and I'd be like, no, it's not going to be like this, because mom and dad are going to see that I'm a winner. I'm the one they're going to love. They're going to see me, and I'm going to show them.
Yeah.
How'd that, how was your relationship with your brother during that? Like, was your brother your enemy, like, during those games? Like, obviously, you're always, the competitive nature. He's like, you're going against each other. But would that make you upset with your brother, and you couldn't love your brother if he beat you because he's getting all the glory from your parents?
Oh, yeah. It hurt me so bad, which it wasn't Logan's fault, and it wasn't my fault. It was just, we were so turned against each other in our childhood. We were always put in something separate. We were never together. People always wanted us to be separate, never together.
Y'all were too good together.
Yeah. No, we made the best team.
Yeah.
The reason it came to that is they basically just told me that they can't be on the same team.
Yeah. It's not fair.
After they got
not
after they
fair.
got past 2nd grade, they're like, no, we're not allowing it.
Yeah.
So I would coach one, and Don would coach one, and it literally, the competitive nature of it was, it got to be such a thing that you could feel it in the family vibe.
Yeah.
By the way, for the record, I don't want to hold anything back. Don did beat me every year when we had to face each other.
Oh.
Yeah, there was one
'Cause
year.
we switched. One year I coached him.
It was so funny. One year, Don coached Logan, and he ended up winning. I remember balling all the sidelines. I was so pissed off. And then the next year, I'm like, I'm going to be on Mom's team. I get on Mom's team. We end up winning it all. It was
She was just
so
a better
funny.
coach.
Yeah,
That's what it boils down to. Just a
So
better coach.
when this was all taking place, did you sense that your kids were fighting each other and trying to get the glory for you guys?
100. Well, I didn't feel the competing for love. I didn't see it at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw was a good, manly dad creating strapping, fighting young men who were not going to be ever bullied or easily manipulated or easily taken. I wanted my kids to be so freaking strong that I could drop them out in the middle of the jungle and they could fight their way back to life.
Yeah.
Man, he did.
No, I think that's good because I'm kind of correlating it to my life, with Asher. Like, I'm so, obviously he doesn't have a sibling he's playing with, but I'm so hard on him. And now I'm sitting here thinking, maybe I also need to tell him, even after the loss, instead of having a quiet card ride home, hey, I'm so proud of you and I love you. I don't do that.
Yeah, you
I'm
should.
just thinking, we're always, me and my wife are so competitive. And we just, I don't know,
Yeah.
you see us out there on the soccer field. We want them to win.
Absolutely.
And that's probably,
Well, the truth of this coming out, see, I didn't realize this till they got older.
Mm-hmm.
And what it did is it divided our family. And then it divided me from my boys independently because it upholds cultures. Love is based on deed
Performance.
and performance.
Results, performance.
It really bolsters that, and it built this. So now, fast forward from the 4th grade into high school years, they don't want to come to me whenever they feel like their performance is low, because their very value hangs in the balance of that. So then they start avoiding things whenever they can't perform in it. And just face it, guys, here's a reality check. We can't all perform well all the time. It just doesn't happen.
Not at all.
But we like to build this illusion that we can, and we try to tell the world that we can. That's why the Facebook is full of highlight reels of people's lives. They're trying to prove to the world that they're lovable.
Yep.
And if I could go back, I would change it. However,
I wouldn't.
looking back now, I wouldn't change it, because now look where we are. God took it and exposed it. We shined light on it. We grieved it. We worked through it. We had lots of crying bouts. We've had lots of anger bouts. We've spent time in isolation. There was moments when this guy wouldn't talk to me. In fact, he had tragedy strike, and I was the last person that he wanted to go to. During the hardest times of his life, he didn't have a dad. What he had was a hard coach who wanted to, more of a domineering military style presence than a dad. And man, that's the part that there's regret there because of hurt, but I wouldn't go back and change it.
I wouldn't either. It's made me so tough.
So going back to when you saying you were lost, that was during your high school, your days when you were playing basketball?
I would say it really started around high school, about junior year. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to go party. I knew I wanted to show people that my family wasn't perfect. That I was going to make their life a little bit harder than what they said it was.
Did that all stimulate from, you and your brother going at each other? Like you were tired of that, and you're like, I'm going to break that?
I was so tired of it. I just wanted them to love me for who I was right then and there. And I needed that. And I didn't get it. And I was just going to show them. I was like, you're going to love me no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think I am. I don't care who you think I am. And it also shaped me into being bulletproof. It shaped me into this numb person that would just do all these things to keep numbing and keep numbing and keep numbing. Because I didn't have anyone to go to. I didn't have anything. It eventually got to the point in my life I felt so lost that I remember when I was 18, this is when it really hit me. My best friend, he died. He passed away in a car accident. And I remember going and I found his wallet. I found everything about him, and I was so in shock. I didn't even know what happened. And I remember going to college. I went to SFA to go party and numb everything, and I had so much pain built up inside of me just from my friend passing away.
Yeah.
And all these other things on top of it. And I realized that that pain was real, something I needed to dig into. I had always been so real with people. And continuing on my lost story, it drove me to the point of, I remember laying on the ground in my bathroom, and I'm like, God, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. I'm ending it right here. It's going to be over. And I sat there on my bathroom floor, and I cried, and I cried, and I went and I found pills, and I tried to take it, and next thing you know, I passed out. I fell asleep. I woke up the next day. I don't even know how. It was an all God thing. I don't know how. I woke up the next day, and that night, it was 12 o'clock, and I'm not the person to call anyone or tell anyone I'm going through this. Nobody knew anything about this. At 12 o'clock the next night, Riley Ostlebrook shows up out of nowhere in my house, and he comes in there, and he says, Dylan, what's wrong? What's going on? Because I know there's something there. And I just opened up to him and I said, Riley, I want to die. I don't want to be here. I don't know anything about this life. I'm so lost and I hate myself so much. And that's when God sent me a messenger. Because there was no reason for Riley to be there. Ever. Someone just told me, said, go see Dylan. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't text him. I didn't call him. He just showed up. And then the next day, he sent me another messenger. My sister came to me the next day, and we sat in her car, and we talked, and we bawled our eyes out, and we cried. She said, Dylan, I cannot do this life without you. You inspire me so much. You don't understand how much people look up to you. How much you have in this life. And those messengers completely changed me. They changed my whole life. It was just amazing to see what God has done. And then I remember after that, I started going to see Earl. And the first time I saw Earl, you don't realize how powerful your words can be. When I saw him, he said, "Dylan, do you know that you are such a godly man?" And I said, What the hell are you talking about? Do you know me?
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and it changed my life. That's when I really started searching for God. I started seeking. I was like, I have a purpose. I have something here I have to do. And I'm going to go search for those lost people like me that want to die, that don't want to be here, that don't know God. And I'm going to show them that they're loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why did you want to show people that, Dylan?
Because I never had it.
You never had it. Yeah.
And I know that if I didn't have those two messengers come to me, I'm a walking miracle, man.
Yeah.
I would not be here right now in this seat talking on this podcast.
Yeah. So it's that whole idea, right? It's that idea that God sent me somebody in my darkest hours. Maybe I can repay it. Maybe I can take that seed and see it grow in me, and I can become that person who God sends in other people's darkest hours.
Yeah.
I see that so much in you, man.
Yeah.
Because you're able, I think what's unique about you that not everybody can do is you're able to get on people's level.
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Oh, I'm so humble when it comes to that standpoint. I've been there, man.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. It's so easy for me. That's whenever like everyone gets afraid of somebody else's sin, but I see these people and I'm like, I don't care about your sin.
Yeah.
I care about your heart.
Yeah.
You're a sinner. God knows that. And guess what? I'm going to come love you for it.
Yeah. And you're able to get there, but you don't, I mean, there's a purpose behind it because you just mentioned that word just a minute ago. Like you found purpose. Purpose is the lifeline to life, really. You know what I'm saying?
If a man doesn't have purpose, man, he's nothing.
Yeah.
He's a walking dead body.
You're wandering at that point, you know? And so many people live there. It's just the harsh reality of life oftentimes.
So I want to contrast this because if you go back to high school and during Dylan's going through all this, you're getting to see the truth and you're getting to hear it and you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. I'm hearing it. In the moment though, everyone around him saw this kid that had everything. He was a lively one. He had 20 friends around him, it seemed like, almost all the time.
Yeah.
He always had people over at the house. He was the popular kid in school. Everybody wanted to be Dylan's friend. He was the stud on the basketball court. But Dylan could go out and score 0 points if he didn't want to, and he could go out and score 30. All depends on his headspace for that day.
Yeah.
How he was feeling. But people saw what they thought was just well put together, had everything going on. But inside,
I was so broken.
Dylan was crying out. And
Said, I need help.
I know there's people listening right now that have
Well,
it.
yeah, because I remember, right, just as your dad's friend and being around you guys the past, I don't know, however long it was. I think I met you when you were a freshman in high school, actually. And saw you play a basketball game. I was like, that cat's good. And then so I would just show up, right? I just show up to the basketball game. So what you're struggling with inside, you know, I wasn't picking up on because I'm like, this kid's out here killing it on the court. You know, like he's banging around. Like, this is amazing. This is an amazing kid, you know?
I always wanted to kill it on the court.
Yeah.
I was killing it on the court, and I was dying inside.
Absolutely. Isn't it easy to do that, though?
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Like, that's that release out there on that basketball court. The best way you know how at that time in your life was like, no, I'm going to go get 30 real quick.
We saw little effects, like Dylan punched the floor,
Oh, man.
broke his hand.
Yep.
And I was like, where did that come from? You know, as a dad, I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, what's going on? And so I'd be like, hey, are you all right? Of course, he just fronts it because he's got to prove to me that he's lovable.
Yeah.
Because I've already raised him to think that, you know, love is based on his performance. And
Yeah.
it started compounding. And my point with all that is, you know, the bill comes due. And at some point, we had to pay the bill for the way that we raised the kids. And it was a big bill. It was a big bill. It took a lot of money, or not money, and not physical money, but it took a lot of resource to pay that bill,
Mm-hmm.
to face it.
Yep.
You know, I
you
mean,
wouldn't understand. Like, going back to that breaking my hand, like, you wouldn't understand how much I really just loved hurting myself. I wanted to break my hand without even realizing it. My consciousness is like, no, I didn't want to do that. But my subconscious is like, you deserve that. Go break your hand. Go do something that, because I was told I was an idiot. I was told I was dumb since a little boy and I was going to do dumb things. And me breaking my hand was something dumb. And I'm like, you deserve this, you piece of crap.
Mm-hmm.
living up to the words spoken is so easy to do without even realizing it. And I want to caution you, parents that are listening, or anybody, when you speak words, especially over a child, they'll do their best to live up to it, whether it's good or bad. Like, they just do.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody needs to hear this. So I want to go back a little bit to when you were in SFA. What were your steps to saying, Riley came, Eve came.
Mm-hmm.
What was your steps? What was your cry out? What did that look like to seek help and to seek trying to find?
Oh, I'm telling you.
What are the steps of that?
So at first, I didn't seek help. I didn't want help.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to go through my pains. But as soon as I talked to my sister and Riley, I realized how much pain was there. The first step is realizing it, is seeing it, realizing that you are broken, that there's something inside of you that hurts so bad, whether you want to see it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first step. The second step was going to find somebody who knows how to get rid of that pain. So whoever that is for you, it can be somebody that just encourages you, somebody that's just there for you. Anytime you feel like you need to do that, just do it. For me, it was Earl. I went to Earl. I remember the first time, so my sister took me, and I was like, dude, I'm not going back to him. And then 2 months go by, and that stuff happened with Riley and Eve, and I'm like, I got to go see Earl. I started going to Earl. I just went every 2 weeks because that's all I could handle. That's all. I store so much pain inside of me because I love it. I used to love having that pain in me. I loved feeling hurt and feeling just not sorry for myself, but just having that pain in me felt good. It was something I was raised on. And then I just kept going to see Earl all the time. And he eventually just kept bringing out all this stuff inside of me, all these things. And I remember crying and being so angry. I remember this one time he stood up. We did this little, what is that? Like a little experiment. He literally just stood up and he said, I'm going to be your dad. And he looks at me and I'm standing up too. And he says, it's your fault. And I look back at him and I am just drenched in sweat. I am freaking out. I want to curl up in a little ball. And I start bawling and I'm like, it's not my fault. And he looks at me again and he says, it's your fault. And I just remember backing down and just crying, curling into a little ball, being that little boy again that was told it's his fault. And eventually I overcome that. I get to that point and I say, Dad, it's not my fault. This is not my fault. That's not who I am. And just, you have to put in the work, man.
Are you going to do you have a relationship at all with Jesus at this time?
I would say I love Jesus. I would say I didn't know who he was. Okay. I had a big God problem, 100%.
Yeah.
I wanted to figure out who I was.
Okay.
And I did know him a little bit, but I only knew him through Earl. Earl was pretty much my God.
So he was another messenger.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
100%. Okay. Earl showed me the way, showed me the truth.
Okay.
Showed me what I was blind to. And my journey with God didn't start till last October. I started taking Earl's teachings through therapy, and I started just comparing them to how God would go, and I started reading my Bible. And I was in Washington. I was in Wenatchee, Washington. And I get on my knees. I just bought me a brand new Bible, and I said, I'm going to get into the Word. I get on my knees, and I start reading. And I remember Jesus being there, and he goes, Dylan, you're my brother. And my father goes, Dylan, you're my son. And he gives me this big, warming hug. And I remember just reading his word and feeling that. And that's when God came back, or I went back to God.
Yeah. And that was a couple years. Or was that? I'm a timeline guy.
Timeline, this was when I was 21, last October, 2024.
Gotcha. Okay. So you've already been going to Earl, seeing Earl.
I've seen Earl since I was 18.
Okay.
Till now. I don't
Yeah.
see him much anymore. I work for him, and he's the best boss you could ever have. I'm very honored. I'm honored with everything Jesus has done for me.
Yeah. And during this time, I remember we used to play basketball, me, you, and Adam, and I used to tell Lacey, I'm like, dude, I love Dylan. I just feel like he's got a lot of love, but he has like no emotion. Like I don't know if you're having a good day. I don't know if you're having a bad day. Like you would just come in there and just like straight face, like, and I could see that. And then to now, it's like your love like radiates. Like when you walk in the room, you can just feel your energy just. Like, you know, you always hug me, and you're always, you know, just so encouraging. So, and that's probably around October. I don't remember when we played, but it was a little bit before probably you started getting into the Word. But I could see the change. I'm like, crazy. And I don't know, man.
You know what's weird about that, David, is when he was a little boy, he was just like that.
Oh, all the time.
He was just like that.
All the time. I knew how to.
It wasn't until mine and Don's bad parenting intervened on who he was that he changed.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault. He had nothing to do with it. God created him this way. I didn't mean to, but I inadvertently hurt him in a way that changed the trajectory of where God had him going. And we had to get that back. And it wasn't easy.
No.
Well, unfortunately, he paid the bill for my sin in this regard. And that's what we do as kids. You know, we pay the bills of our parents a lot of times, and it seems unfair, but I want to encourage you. It's such a way to grow towards God because it allows God to become your parent. Mm-hmm. You know, it becomes a way to see God as the parent.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't do that until we have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah. For parents out there, Dan, how do you just be like, sit down, be quiet, and allow your kids to change and not open your mouth and just kind of like, how do you do that? Like, how do you just? I feel like some parents that like they raise their kids and their kids are, you know, didn't do what they, I guess you would say, quote unquote, wanted them to do, and they're changing. And how do you allow that to happen? And like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Well, it stems from godly counsel. Mm-hmm. It stems from spending time with God. But honestly, a man told me one time, I was like, hey, I'm having all these trouble with these kids. Like, they're grown, they're up in age. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And he basically said, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Let your love be unconditional. Just love them.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. I'll love them if they'll, do. And he goes, no, that's not right. Mm-hmm. And it took a while. Like, that didn't happen overnight. Like, not too very long ago, I get a phone call from their landlord. And rather than me just disengage and be like, it's none of my business, I call my sons to harp on them about it has nothing to do with me.
I said.
And it drove a wedge even further between us. And I'm like, oh my God, I said this, I was like, how could I fall for that? Mm-hmm. So I had to eat crow on that one. I had to apologize. I'd say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, son. Yeah. This is none of my business. And I told their landlord, don't ever call me again. It's none of my business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was living on my own, and me and Logan were doing our
paying
own
his own
thing.
bills. Like, he had nothing to do with it.
We were doing great. And I remember the landlord, I'd call my dad, and Dad calls me, and he said, you need to get your life together. What are you doing? And I was like, Dad, just shut up. Just be quiet, man. Like, I don't care what you have to say. I'm doing just fine. And it did. It drove a wedge. But obviously it's not like that anymore. God has restored so much in us.
Yeah.
But it's just little things like that you say that can really drive a wedge in between you. You think you're doing good.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault. But just simple things like that. The words you speak are so powerful, man.
Yeah.
If I have to boil it down, though, to answer your question, you have to realize he is not my son. He is God's son.
Yeah.
I'm a steward. I'm in charge of his young years. I'm in charge of showing him God. I'm in charge of instilling him with God's principles and wisdom. But at the end of the day, he's not mine.
Yeah.
He's his.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to account to God why I did some of the things I did to him, I'm sure. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just a human too.
Yeah.
I did the best I could with what I had.
Yeah, you did amazing.
And God's in the restoration business. Thank God. He's in the
100%.
business to turn around broken people like me and broken
yeah.
people like him.
We have such a beautiful family.
Yeah,
man.
our
Heck
family.
yeah, you guys do.
I want
We
to
get
go
to
back,
see it on Sundays.
kind of back in my childhood where God has loved me and shown me love, and now I'm able to see it with my journey with God. In those times that I was lost, like if you just open your eyes, I remember the enemy does such a good job at telling you you're alone, at telling you that nobody's there for you. You're going to be alone all your life. There's nothing there. But God said, Dylan, you're not even going to be born alone. You have a twin.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about, I used to be so popular. I used to have all these people, and they would be around me constantly, all the time, pouring love into me and just telling me how much they looked up to me. And it was, I never saw it. I never saw it. I was so blind to it. Literally so blind to it because all this pain inside of me that I was telling myself, no, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And you just look now, and God had all these people in my life pouring themselves into me, showing that I was so loved all the time. And he even gave me a twin. That is a blessing of its own. If you have a twin, you would never understand the relationship you can have right there. That is a built-in best friend for life.
Yeah.
So I shared a womb with him.
Yeah.
Womb mates. Sorry.
Dylan, what does it look like for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess the question I'm asking is like, man, what's the turning point? You know what I'm saying? Was it, you said you're pouring into yourself, all that kind of stuff. What does it look like whenever you realize that like God loves you? You know what I'm saying? Like, when did that happen?
Man.
What did that change anything? Like, what did that do?
It changes everything. The first time, like, it just made me see how much grace he has. I read The Prodigal Son, and
Let's go.
the Father is Jesus. And when I came back, I come back with this stupid excuse. I'm not worthy. I'm not this. And God's like, go get the lamb. Go get the cow. Go get the biggest cow we have.
Yeah.
And let's throw a big party for this guy.
Yeah.
And like, that's what Jesus showed me. It's like, that's whenever the love really came in. And he was like, I don't care what you're doing. I love you.
Yeah. So
And then-
what'd that do on the inside? Like, did it do it like, I don't know.
It shattered me at first.
Yeah.
It broke my heart because I realized that my little boy, I never thought he could be loved.
Yeah.
That spirit inside of me was killed. And God showed me that I am so lovable, that he will wash my feet. He literally, Jesus will wash my feet. And he continues to do it all the time. No matter and whenever I fail, he still says I'm not a failure. Whenever I do something good, he's so proud of me. Whenever I do something bad, he corrects me because I love him. I mean, he loves me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And he corrects me in a good way, not a angry or like, you are so dumb or you're doing the wrong thing. He's like, Dylan, we really need to look into this, okay?
Yeah.
Let's try to get this fixed out.
Yeah.
There's a better way.
Yeah. I think to me that always speaks to people's turning points in their lives because, we can gather so much information, we can gather knowledge, people can tell us whatever, and it's only in those moments that we feel the true love of God. It's a feeling too.
Oh,
like,
it is, yeah.
like it's a real intense feeling on the inside where it clicks, something opens up and it's like, I've been running from this,
It hurts.
because what we think, right? What we think is that we're going to get met with the same response maybe we got met with from our natural parents,
Yeah, 100%.
It's like that kind of thing. And what we realize is, it's like I preached a funeral the other day. No one's too far gone. Nobody's too messed up.
No.
Nobody has too much baggage. Like all of this kind of stuff. And I can tell, we can tell people that, but until they feel that from God, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think in those moments,
Oh, it clicks, man.
I see it in your life right now.
Yeah.
You're not just reciting words that you heard somebody say.
No.
You're verbalizing what you felt.
This is from my heart, man.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's very real. I'm so raw.
Yeah.
I'm a very real person.
Yeah.
So, one more time, Dylan. What do you tell that person that's walking in your shoes or walking a similar life? I know there's somebody right now that's listening that's going, gosh, I relate to that. Man, I feel that. Oh my God, I feel that. What do you tell that person? What are they to do right now?
To wake up and love who you are. Right now, as you are.
So what does that mean? Put it in tangible terms.
Say you're an addict. Say you're doing heroin. Say you're doing meth. Say you're an alcoholic. Love that alcoholic. Love that addict. It doesn't matter what you do. People don't understand that the reason you go to these things is because what's inside of you. You have to look inside, man. You have to look what's in you. Once you release that, you'll be like, one day God will have his hand over you and you've released all that pain. And you'll be like, I don't need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I still love that man when he was doing that, but I just don't need it because I have way more love for me now.
Yeah, and for some people listening right now, that sounds too easy to be true.
Mm-hmm, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a little hokey.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't line up with doesn't line up with the way that I parented.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't line up with the way most of us were parented.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could just as easy be that alcoholic, be that Pharisee, be that this or that. It's all by the grace of God. He put his hand over me and he said, look, I'm going to take these things out of your life because I love you that much.
It's all by the grace.
And you have to realize that you have to love yourself first.
Because why? God already loves you.
Yes, exactly.
He already loves you.
He already chose you.
Yeah. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, Ephesians.
He already chose you. Yes, sir. Man.
It's just so true. I got to say that, man, watching your story, who you are, of course, I loved watching you on the basketball court, get out there and do it because you reminded, Logan was different. Logan was a little more like slasher, like whatever. You were a lot like me where you just went out there and you were just trying to hoop.
Yeah,
like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like playing with all the emotion. It's overflowing out of you. You can sit there and watch. I was like, I love watching this kid.
Yeah.
I love watching this kid. That's why I showed up to all the games because probably something inside of me was like identifying with that, Like I was like, this is what it was.
Yeah.
But seeing you from there to literally where you are today
Yeah.
is it's a miracle.
Oh, man, it is.
We talk about miracles all the time, right? And everybody goes, well, what is a miracle? This is a miracle.
Right here in front of you. I'm standing in front of you.
Yeah.
That's one thing that God opened my eyes up to. I'm like, God, I've never seen miracles. I've never seen them be done. I want to see one. And he said, dude, what are you talking about? You are a miracle. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look where you are.
And I think what makes me so excited about you is you talked about purpose. And I think when you talk about purpose, you're talking about here and now, but you're also talking about the future and what God's going to do with your life, as you stay surrendered, as you stay humble, as you just stay usable before God, right?
Yeah.
Heart tender, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what does this thing look like in 5 to 10 years?
Man, if I knew, I'd screw it up.
But that's what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's something beautiful that hasn't even, it's been tapped into, but
It has.
no eye has seen, no ear has heard.
No, it's something that I can't even comprehend in my mind. God has something so beautiful that I cannot even see.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be amazing. I know I'm going to be fishing. I know I'm going to be out somewhere traveling, speaking his word.
Yep.
But he has something for me that I cannot even
So
see.
who goes out fishing and who goes traveling speaking his word? What kind of person is that?
I'm an evangelist, man.
Yep. Yep.
I am. I love the lost souls. I have the gift of salvation.
Yep.
And I am also being wise in that sense. It's not my time. I have to learn when it is my time. And that's not going to be now. But
So let's talk about that for a second. Because you see what it is that you want to become or what you want to do, who you are, becoming is a thing.
yeah.
But you're in a season of learning. You're in a season of maybe you get an opportunity here and there. And then you just give it everything you got, right?
Yeah.
And then you come back, and then you just continue to learn, and you continue to get poured into and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful season.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful season to be in and it's cool that you recognize it too, because many people just go, well, I gotta go. I gotta go.
I got to get to the top.
Yeah.
Yep.
To the top. I gotta climb the ladder. I gotta go. Yep. And they never took the time to allow people to pour into them. And I've seen a lot of people mess it up right there.
Man, it's a mountain. You got to start at the bottom and slowly take your journey up. And then right now, I would say I'm almost to the middle part. I'm almost to that part where God's like, look, I can trust you enough to send you out,
Mhm.
but it's not your time yet.
Mhm.
You need to keep quiet and speak as much as you can, but also don't say too much.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about where you are right now. He said something that I found really interesting, and where lots and lots of people, and me included, where we really make a big mistake.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for you to pray at the beginning of the class.
Mm.
And I witness you take it so serious. You spend time in prayer before you even make a simple prayer. Most people, someone says, hey, would you like to open up in prayer? They're like, open up in prayer? I need to be teaching, or I need to be seen. I need to be
Yeah.
prayer. That's not a real, I mean, I'll do it, but
Yeah.
to take it with the mindset and the humility to put everything you got into just a little 1 minute prayer at the beginning of class. Son, I mean, I know you're my son, but I couldn't be more proud.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah. It's the
Adam
whole,
could either. He's
This is what I love seeing in young, blooming leaders. Is he who is faithful with little can be trusted with much.
Yep. That's where that honor comes in, man.
Yeah.
You have to honor that. Whether it's taking out the trash for the church, whether it's cleaning up, whether it's saying a simple prayer, man, you have to honor it. And you have to be so thankful for it. Because I didn't put myself there.
Yeah.
I did not ask for that at all.
Yep.
If anything, I wanted to run away from it.
Yeah.
And God was like, nope, you're going to come here. And I have just honored it as much as I can. I try to do as much as I can do for those students with the time that I have there. It
Yep.
all comes with honor, man.
so now that you're where you are, is it always just peachy sunshine and rainbows, or does the old version of you sometimes come out and want to challenge where you are and bring you back down?
Oh, man, he wants to challenge me all the time. It's a battle. It's a constant battle. Like, especially if I'm watering those seeds.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I'm go out and I do something that I used to do, I'm watering that seed, and it's most likely I'm going to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And is it a battle? Yes, but I would say it's gotten about 70% better.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to have those thoughts. I don't know if they ever go away, but the battle just gets easier once you start to know who you truly are. I would say I get 30% of the time I'm battling those thoughts and trying to figure out, like, okay, maybe I am worthless. Maybe I am that. And then I'm like, then I look myself in the mirror and I see my little boy, and I'm like, do you know what that little boy's been through? Do you know that you can't judge that little boy? Do you know you can't condemn him? And then I'm just like, man, I just love me. I'm righteous. I'm bold.
So why are you righteous and why are you bold?
Because God made me that way. That's why Jesus is your identity in a lot of ways. And I'm still figuring that out, of course. Like I don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
I'm just now learning. But that's what I'm starting to learn.
Yeah.
Is that's my identity.
Yep. When God looks at you, he sees Jesus.
100%. Not even God, just people around you too.
Yeah.
I remember the other day, like, especially working in the ministry, it's not easy. It's not an easy job, man. You have to do a lot for it. And these people, they look up to you. I can't go do what little Timmy does. I have to be the stronger man. And that's not easy, especially at my age. I'm so young, and I'm just now realizing what all this stuff is. But I am working my hardest to be the best I can be for all those people out there. And not even just them, for myself.
Yeah.
Like, if I can do that for me, I know I can do that for them. If I can love myself, I know I can share my love to them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm proud of you, Dylan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm proud of where you are right now. I really am.
Thank you.
It's a big deal,
It is, man.
and people see it.
Yeah.
And who knows what kind of net God gives you
No.
to
who
go
knows,
catch
man?
fish.
Who knows? No clue. But I'm excited for the journey.
Yeah.
Dylan, I want to tell you, I'm so proud as your dad, and I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for just allowing God to speak in your life. You didn't have to choose God. You didn't have to say yes to the messenger. You didn't have to. You could have rejected all the messengers, but you chose to bend your will and try it.
Yeah.
and now you're reaping a lot of the benefits because of it. So thank you for doing that, son. I'm really, really proud of you, and I'm so excited to just see what God does with you.
Me too. Man, I love each and every one of you guys. Adam, you're one of the coolest dudes I've ever met.
Oh, thanks,
You
bro.
have a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And David, you're just so real, man. You are so smart. Every time you ask a question, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it.
Appreciate it, man.
You make people you bring it down to a level where almost anyone can understand, which is so smart. You wouldn't even believe. Like somebody that's never heard people talk about this before, they just would understand it with you asking a question.
Yep.
Sometimes stuff goes over their head, but you're like, no, these people are going to know what they're saying.
It's hard when you have Adam and Dan sitting next to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're way more mature in their walk, and
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm just learning. I'm just starting. So I need you to dummy it down for me. You know.
Yeah.
And
give me the.
I gotta understand it because I don't want you just to pour into our guest. I want to know. I want to understand it.
Yeah.
And apply it in my
Oh,
life.
you wouldn't know how wise that is, man.
So I appreciate that, man.
Well, thanks for coming on, Dylan.
Yeah. No problem, man. Thanks for having me. I'm so honored.
Yeah,
I love you, Dad.
I love you,
I
son.
honor you. I honor your parents.
That's right.
Love you, man.
Love you, Dylan.
Appreciate you
Love you
coming
guys.
on.
All right, y'all have a good day.